Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to talk about what it's like to kind of daily drive and use this Camaro as a normal car. You know, most people don't really see these as a car you would just kind of bum around in. As we step in here, the sound of a V8 in the morning. Alright, lights off. Give me a second here. Well, the first thing to discuss as far as this thing is concerned as a tow vehicle, of course, is, you know, the fact that it's a standard transmission. So you could get a Camaro with an automatic, but, you know, if you're really going for an enthusiast car, performance car that you're trying to daily drive and enjoy, you're probably going to want the manual. You know, generally speaking, right, that would be more considered the enthusiast car. I'm not putting down automatic Camaros. I'm just kind of saying, I think what most people would be, you know, looking to getting if they were in this market. That was too much gear. Oh. That's why you don't film and try to shift your car at the same time, folks. There we go. So, I could talk about this car ad nauseum from track day perspective, from performance driving on curvy roads perspective, and it's good at all those things. But I really want to focus on the daily usability and talk about that, because I think a lot of people don't talk about that. So first things first, you know, just from a kind of display perspective and heads-up display, you know, if you're going on a road trip, first of all, super nice to have your tire pressures, and yeah, all this stuff's a little bit dated the way it looks, but all the information's there. You know, you've got tons of different information that, you know, is semi-useless in most cases, but it is there if you want it. You know, you've got coolant temp, remaining oil life, just a bunch of different stuff, right? You also got these 4 quad gauges, which if you're flying down the highway, power cruising, going on a trip, definitely nice to know all of your kind of important data about your car, trans temp, oil pressure, all that kind of stuff. So that's really nice to have, even just from a daily driving perspective. I really like having that. It's kind of more performance oriented, but it does matter. A big thing I would say though as a negative for this car from a daily driving perspective is the tire size. So the 1LE Camaro specifically has the ZL1 wheel and tire package basically. So you had 285s from the factory all around, but everybody winds up putting 305s on the rear because that's what the ZL1 wheels are really made for. So you got a wide tire, and if you run summers, you know, if you're in Florida or something, you want to run summer tires all year. Guys, any of these high-end summer tires have gotten, ultra high performance summer tires have gotten very expensive. And there are cheaper brands, like the Firestone makes some cheaper summer tires, which are pretty good. I've ran them before, the Indy 500s. But you know, the all seasons are even expensive for this tire size. If you get the ultra, they're the high performance all seasons, you know, they're still you know, over $1,000 for a set of 4 tires, and they'll last 20-ish thousand miles with some hard use, so maybe 30 if you really babied it. So not too bad a tread life, but definitely less than your kind of normal car, and they cost a lot more than a normal car. So that's going to be the thing that gets you. Brake wear and brake cost. Brakes do wear out faster than like probably a normal car. Again, I mean, I do some track days here and there. They still probably you get 25, 30,000 miles out of them with track days, so call it 40 without. And they're a little bit expensive, but they're like half-ton truck expensive. They're not that bad. So I wouldn't let the brakes scare you. Wheel bearings, same thing. They're kind of like half-ton truck, all the front-end parts. None of that stuff is too bad. So from a daily perspective, really it's only the tires. And what you could do, if you really wanted to, and it would be a little bit of a shame because it's kind of the whole point of the 1LE, but you could buy aftermarket thinner wheels with the right amount of offset to make the car still look good, and then just run a thinner tire. So you can run like a 245 up front and a 285 in the rear, which is I think what the Camaros come with stock, or do like a 265, 285, or a 245, 265. I mean, you could do a bunch of different ways depending on how much you wanted to save. But in the long run, if you can find some save money. You have to eat the cost of those wheels into that equation, so maybe you wouldn't, but that's a, you know, question. Now, one of the big detractors, kind of comfort-wise, from daily driving this or going on road trips with it is the seats. And they're not that bad. I don't even know if you can see the seat right now. Sorry, guys, it's kind of dark in here. But they're not that bad. They actually are heated, which is super nice. I love my heated seats. And I drive this car in cooler weather, so it's definitely worth it. But they don't have any adjustable lumbar. They don't have the best lumbar just in general. And the seat bottom is pretty firm, you know, pretty hard. Now, I'll say, right, I've done multiple trips to North Carolina in this car from upstate New York, you know, 700 plus miles, and it's fun. I enjoy it. My butt's not like that sore when I'm done with it. I'm also a 29-year-old man, so, you know, if you're a little bit older, you might have some issues. If you're a little bit, you know, heavier set, you know, it could potentially put a little more stress on your gluteus maximus and, you know, cause you some pain, so you've been warned. You'll have to kind of find out for yourself on that one. If you're short enough, you can put a little butt cushion down there. Problem is, if you're tall and if you have a sunroof, and a lot of people talk about this on forums, and they're right, you run into headroom issues. You know, I've only got a couple fingers worth of headroom between me and the roof, and should open the sunroof before to get more light in here. But anyway, that's a huge problem for putting a helmet on. Again, I won't talk about it much in this video because this is about daily driving, but a little bit tough of a track day car for taller people if you have the sunroof, because you can't fit in there with a helmet. Anyway, like I said, won't mention that. But like steering feel, brake feel, the transmission in general from a daily driving perspective, they're all phenomenal. I mean, this car is just like a really, really fun, pleasurable way to get around in your normal daily life. It's just got good steering feel, and the brakes are really, really strong. So let's just say you weren't paying attention or something and you had to slam on the brakes, you know, you're going to be totally good to go on that. Now, from a daily perspective, this isn't as much of an issue, but from a road tripping perspective, the size of the trunk leaves a little bit to be desired. Not terribly so. You know, as you can see in this footage, it's pretty good size. And as long as you get things over the lip and inside the kind of small trunk entryway, there's a fair amount of space in there. I've really never had a problem packing for a trip for two people and my dog. I actually put my dog in the back seat. There's plenty of room to put his crate back there, which is pretty awesome. He's a 70-pound dog. But I'll do all that and really load the car up for a road trip, and it's fun. It works out well. So I actually definitely would recommend this as a road trip car if it's the type of road trip you're looking to have a sports car on. It's definitely not the best road trip car for the sake of the road trip, but it will do the job, and then you'll still have fun when you get there. So I actually think it's a really great car for that, because it kind of blends those two kind of conflicting activities, right? Sport driving and long distance driving. You could also put a trailer hitch on it and do a little rear carrier if you really, really wanted to get some extra space. The payload in this car, which is something nobody talks about, is like 860 pounds, which is actually pretty good. The funny thing is, off on a tangent, like a limited F-150 or whatever, some of these really, really high trim pickup trucks, half tons, have like shockingly low payloads, and I'm not kidding you, they're 1,000 pounds, they're almost the same as this car. But with that 800 pounds payload, you figure two people, I'm 215 pounds, 215, my girlfriend's an unmentionable amount of weight, unknown amount of weight. But anyway, let's just say you're a 150 pound girl and a 200 pound man, right? Okay, so you're at 350 pounds. My dog's 70 pounds, so 420. Okay, so I have 400 pounds worth of payload left to put in. That's a good amount. Suitcases and all different kinds of stuff. I mean, it'd be kind of hard to get up to 400 pounds with just the space available in the interior. If you put that little hitch carrier on, I mean, as long as you're not carrying a cooler full of ice and a ton of brewskis or whatever, I think if it's lighter objects, like just a plastic tote with bedding in it, or a tent if you're going to go tent camping or something like that, I mean, you'd easily be under the payload of this car with essentially a full load of passengers, right? Two people and a dog, and it's a totally viable option. It'll look a little goofy going down the road, but hey, I think it'd be super fun, right? You're using your Camaro, to its max. Ooh, look at that blue Camaro. To its max capability. So screw it, why not? Who cares what people think? Moving on to the touchscreen. This is where you're gonna feel it in this car's age. Unfortunately, the touchscreen's a bit dated. This was pre-Apple CarPlay, Android Auto era. There's really no, I hate to say this, there's no benefit to the touchscreen other than the fact that you can get the rear view backup camera when you had it as an option, which is also really important for daily driving. But we'll talk more about that later. But yeah, you can get this as an option, and it's kind of useless. I will say the graphics of it are fine. Like, there's really no problem with how it functions. It just doesn't give you any additional function that a regular digital dot matrix display would give you, because there is no Android Auto or CarPlay. There's no way. I think these cars might have had a navigation option, and then it would pull up a map on this screen, and you'd have like the Chevy navigation OnStar based or whatever. So that might then make it more useful, but I'd imagine that's super dated by now and it doesn't really work super well compared to Google Maps and Apple Maps and all that stuff. I don't know for sure. If somebody knows, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm talking out of my butt on that one, but I'm going to go off that assumption for the sake of this video. But you do have a bunch of different icons that do a bunch of different things, and I don't really think any of them are that useful. I've dug through these menus before, like the weather thing. The problem is smartphones exist now, right? And all this car, this touchscreen was designed in 2011, 2012 era, and smartphones weren't as pervasive back then. So, all this stuff is all XM subscription based and whatever. You just don't need it anymore. Times have changed and moved on. Everybody just uses their smartphone for all this stuff, as evidenced by the fact that mine is mounted right there. And let's just be honest, that's the way that it is. So unless you have CarPlay and Android Auto where you can plug in, or you've got a very modern, advanced infotainment, like maybe like a Tesla has, or some of these newer electric cars kind of have their own, like a Rivian. They have a pretty good built-in infotainment that actually has all the features your phone would. Those are a little bit different, but unless you have one of those, you're probably just gonna use your phone. So that's kind of it's a wash, but it's fine. I mean, it doesn't hurt the car. It just doesn't really help it. You could go aftermarket, put an aftermarket Android Auto, CarPlay capable, touchscreen in, and then get all those features, which would be pretty cool. I've thought about it. It's a little bit expensive. I don't road trip this car that much, so I just don't know how much I would really benefit from that. When I road tripped it, I would love it for sure, but I'd literally be using Android Auto for anything more than just like playing music, which I can do Bluetooth through here. I'd be using it very minimally. It'd be 2, 3, 4 times a year or whatever, and I don't know, doesn't quite do it for me. Whereas, I mean, maybe some directions when I'm somewhere relatively local but don't know where I'm going, fine, okay, but not worth it. I'm gonna stick with this touchscreen for free. It does the job okay. As far as like steering wheel controls and all that sort of thing, they are very good in this car. Everything is very easy to access. You can get to your, all your like music settings and change tracks and volume up and down. Very well laid out. No complaints there. I think they really made it very useful, and there's no compromises. This steering wheel layout's probably out of a freaking, Chevy Impala, so just a normal car, right? And that's the benefit of something like a Camaro, is there is a lot of stuff that's based in other more pedestrian vehicles, which gives you a lot of good like creature comfort that a sports car might not otherwise have of this caliber, of this relatively low cost point, as opposed to like a Porsche or something like that. One of my big complaints, and this isn't really a daily driver issue per se, but people do care about this, so I think I should mention it. The audio and the speakers is fine, but not great. This is it's premium audio, Boston Premium Audio, whatever brand it is, and it's no Bose. And I know Bose is not necessarily a high watermark to a lot of people. It's definitely no, not JBL, but what's the other brand I'm thinking of? Clipsitch or anyway, whatever. Any high-end audio company. It's not that, in my opinion. They just don't sound that great. Like my F-250s, stock, just like from Ford speakers and an XLT trim, sound much better than these speakers in this car. Honest to God, they just do. So just keep that in mind. If you're a real audiophile, you will be putting an audio system in this car if you buy it. If you're your average Joe like me, you'll be fine with it. You can crank it up. It gets loud enough that if you got the windows down and the sunroof up and you want to, you know, jam some tunes with your girlfriend or whatever, or wife, it's fine. You can have a good time, but it's definitely not going to rock your socks off with audio quality, for sure. But yeah, overall, this video is getting long-winded, but I would say this thing is a very good daily. It's a very good road trip car. Again, in the category of what it is. You know, let's not overstate. It's still a sports car. It still has stiff suspension. It won't knock your teeth out, but you know, it's going to do what it's going to do. But when you want to hit a corner like this, and you're not stuck behind a Ford Taurus, you know, you'll have a ton of fun doing it. So, with all that said, as always, guys, thanks for watching. God bless America, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.